Imagine biting into a bucket of crispy fried chicken and realizing you're basically eating a descendant of the T-Rex. Sounds insane, right? But it's true. Chickens, those clucking, egg-laying, backyard animals, carry the DNA legacy of some of the most fearsome creatures to ever walk the earth. Today we're going to unravel the bizarre, jaw-dropping, and downright insane story of how dinosaurs turned into chickens. Buckle up, because this ride through deep time will blow your mind. Let's start about 66 million years ago, at the end of the Cretaceous period. Dinosaurs were ruling the earth, giant sauropods stretching their necks to eat trees, armored beasts lumbering around like tanks, and of course, the infamous Tyrannosaurus Rex. But not every dinosaur looked like the Hollywood monsters you see on screen. Some of them were already covered in feathers. Yes, feathers. In fact, paleontologists now know that birds didn't just come from dinosaurs. Birds are dinosaurs, chickens included. When you see a chicken strutting in a farmyard, you're looking at the modern cousin of raptors, not the basketball team, the actual velociraptors. And here's the kicker. The velociraptor was about the size of a turkey. In fact, if you dressed one up in feathers and plopped it into a barnyard, most people might mistake it for a weird, angry chicken. That's how close the link is. Now, how did this crazy transformation happen? Picture a group of small, feathered dinosaurs during the late Jurassic. They weren't the biggest predators, but they had something special: feathers. At first, feathers weren't for flying. They were probably for insulation, like a natural winter coat. Some were flashy for showing off, like a prehistoric fashion statement. But eventually, those feathers became wings, gliders, and flight enablers. Over millions of years, certain dinosaurs shrank, lightened up, and began to experiment with the skies. Fast forward, and boom, true birds emerged. But not every bird lineage survived the asteroid impact that wiped out the non-avian dinosaurs. 66 million years ago, a chunk of space rock smashed into Earth, creating chaos. Giant dinosaurs disappeared. The skies filled with fire, the oceans acidified, forests collapsed. And yet somehow, tiny bird-like dinosaurs, the ancestors of today's chickens, made it through. Think about that. Your Sunday omelet exists because their ancestors were survivors of the apocalypse. They were small, they could eat seeds, they reproduced quickly, and those survival strategies gave them the edge in a devastated world. That's how their lineage carried on, while massive beasts like Triceratops and T-Rex vanished. So when did chickens actually show up? The modern chicken, Gallus domesticus, is descended from a wild bird called the red jungle fowl, which still struts around in parts of Southeast Asia. Scientists believe humans first domesticated these jungle fowl about 8,000 years ago. Picture ancient farmers in Southeast Asia noticing these colorful, feisty birds scratching around. They ate the eggs, bred the birds, and eventually created the chickens we know today. But here's where it gets wild. When scientists compared chicken DNA to dinosaur DNA, they found shocking similarities. In fact, researchers at Harvard famously confirmed that chickens share a direct genetic link with Tyrannosaurus Rex. That means when you look at a chicken's foot, those scaly, clawed feet, you're basically staring at the ghost of a dinosaur. Now, here's a crazy twist. Scientists have experimented with reversing evolution in chickens. Yes, you heard that right. Researchers have managed to turn certain genes back on, creating chicken embryos that grow dinosaur-like snouts instead of beaks. They call it Chickenosaurus. Imagine one day walking into a farm and instead of clucking hens, you see mini raptors flapping around. Jurassic Park suddenly doesn't sound so far-fetched. But let's zoom in on what really makes chickens fascinating. Chickens are one of the most abundant bird species on Earth. Right now, there are over 25 billion chickens alive at any given time. That's more than 3 times the human population. They're literally everywhere. Farms, backyards, industrial barns. From a survival perspective, chickens might be the most successful dinosaur descendants ever. Dinosaurs dreamed big, but chickens conquered the world by being small, useful, and, let's be honest, delicious. Still, their dinosaur heritage peeks through in strange ways. Ever notice how chickens move their heads in jerky motions, almost like they're scanning for prey? That's dinosaur DNA at work. Or how roosters have that sharp talon on their feet called a spur, straight out of the raptor playbook. Even the way hens defend their chicks, ferocious, relentless, echoes behaviors scientists believe raptors once had. Now let's dig into evolution's sense of humor. Imagine telling a T-Rex, the apex predator of its time, that one day its closest relatives would be flapping around barnyards, being fried and served in sandwiches. Evolution isn't a straight line. It's a wild, chaotic process of adaptation and survival. Chickens are proof. They're living relics, walking connections between Earth's prehistoric past and our modern dinner plates. And if you still think chickens are boring farm animals, let me blow your mind further. Chickens are smarter than you think. Studies show they can count, recognize over 100 different faces, and even dream during REM sleep, just like humans. They have complex social hierarchies, hence the phrase pecking order. And roosters, they're like natural alarm clocks, crowing not just at dawn, but whenever they feel like announcing dominance. Strip away the feathers, add a few sharp teeth, and boom, you've got yourself a little dinosaur warlord. What about their role in human culture? Chickens have been with us for thousands of years, not just as food, but as symbols. Ancient Romans used chickens in divination rituals. If chickens ate greedily before battle, it was a good omen. If they refused, the generals thought disaster loomed. In some Asian cultures, chickens symbolize prosperity and good fortune. Think about it. An animal that survived the asteroid apocalypse, got domesticated, spread across the globe, and now feeds billions. That's not just evolution, that's domination. But there's also something deeply weird about how far we've taken chickens. Selective breeding turned jungle fowl into today's chickens, optimized for egg production or meat. Some chickens grow so fast and so large that they can barely walk. Their evolution is no longer just nature's experiment, it's humanity's laboratory project. We've taken a survivor of the dinosaurs and reshaped it to our needs, making it one of the clearest examples of human-driven evolution. Let's pause and imagine. If dinosaurs could see the chickens of today, would they be proud or embarrassed? The mighty velociraptor reduced to clucking in a coop. The bloodline of T-Rex now deep-fried and dipped in barbecue sauce. On the one hand, it feels like a fall from glory. On the other, chickens have spread across every continent, thriving in numbers their dinosaur ancestors could never dream of. In terms of sheer survival and success, chickens are ultimate winners. And here's one more mind-melting fact. Every time you crack open an egg, you're holding a biological time capsule. The egg is one of the oldest evolutionary inventions, perfected long before chickens existed. Dinosaurs laid eggs, reptiles laid eggs. That fragile shell is a direct connection to the ancient past. Inside every egg is the blueprint of a dinosaur-descended bird. Breakfast just got way more prehistoric. The story of chickens isn't just about farming or food, it's about resilience. It's about how life adapts, transforms, and sometimes takes hilariously unexpected paths. From feathered dinosaurs strutting across prehistoric landscapes to chickens scratching in your backyard, the journey has been insane. Chickens remind us that evolution isn't about staying the strongest or scariest. It's about surviving change. And in that sense, chickens are champions. So next time you hear a rooster crow or watch a hen pecking in the dirt, remember, you're not just looking at a farm animal. you're staring at a dinosaur, a survivor, a species that saw meteors fall, empires rise, and humans invent fried chicken sandwiches. Chickens aren't just birds, they're living history. And if that doesn't make you respect them a little more, maybe this will. One day, scientists might fully unlock their dinosaur genes. Imagine your grandkids visiting a zoo where they don't see lions or elephants, but reverse-engineered dino chickens with teeth and claws. The future might just look a lot like the past. But here's the wildest thought of all. Chickens are proof that evolution never really stops. They're still changing under our watch. In just a few thousand years, we've reshaped them through selective breeding, but who knows what they'll look like thousands of years from now. Maybe future humans will have designer chickens with neon feathers, or even lab-grown breeds that blur the line between bird and machine. When you think about it, chickens could end up being one of the most important animals in humanity's long future, our link to the past, and possibly our partners in the future of food, science, and survival. And when you stand back and look at their journey, from dinosaurs to asteroid survivors to jungle fowl to farmyard cluckers, it's honestly one of the craziest stories nature has ever written. Chickens are not just food, they're living fossils, their resilience wrapped in feathers. They're a reminder that no matter how chaotic life gets, survival is possible. So next time you hear that familiar cluck, cluck, pause for a second, you're not just hearing a bird, you're hearing echoes of dinosaurs. If this story blew your mind, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more insane journeys into history, science, and the bizarre truths of our world. And hey, drop a comment below. Are you ever going to look at chickens the same way again?